Have you ever hit that wall in your English learning? Where you know the grammar, you've got the vocabulary, but when it's actually time to speak, something just freezes. Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets to break right through that plateau and finally speak with some real confidence.
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've put in the hours, you've studied all the rules, but that feeling of fluency just seems so far away. It's a super common experience, this fluency trap. And the answer? Well, it's probably not what you think. It has a lot less to do with what you know and way more to do with how you think. Okay, just let this one sink in for a second. This quote right here, it perfectly captures the single biggest thing standing in your way. Seriously, it's not your accent, it's not some verb tense you forgot, it's the fear of getting it wrong. That fear is what keeps all that English you know locked up inside your head.
So, here's the absolute key takeaway. Becoming fluent isn't about cramming in more vocabulary words. Not at all. It's about a psychological shift. It's about changing your entire relationship with the language and, probably most importantly, with the mistakes you're going to make along the way, because you will make them.
So let's dive into our first section. We're going to completely reframe how you look at errors. Instead of seeing them as these big, scary failures, we're going to start seeing them for what they really are, the tools that will build your fluency.
Now look at this. This is so interesting because it breaks down two totally different ways of learning. Over on the left, you've got the passive learner, who's just trapped by this need to be perfect. But then on the right, you have the active learner. They see English as a tool for one thing, communication. They get that the goal isn't a flawless sentence, it's just getting your point across. They use mistakes as data, as stepping stones to get better. So which one are you right now? And which one do you want to be?
I absolutely love this analogy. It turns confidence from this thing you either have or you don't into something you can actually build. Think about it. Every single time you open your mouth to speak, even if you stumble a bit, you're doing a rep at the gym. You're making that muscle stronger. Fluency isn't some gift you're born with. It's something you earn through practice.
Okay, let's move on to our next section, which builds right on top of this. We've talked about mindset, right? Now let's talk about the actual machinery inside your brain. We've got to stop translating and start thinking directly in English.
This is the big one for so many learners. That constant mental translation. It's slow, it's exhausting, and it makes your speech sound, well, kind of unnatural. So how do we bypass that whole process? How do we build a direct highway from a thought straight into English speech?
Well, the answer is in something called inner speech. That's just the fancy term for the voice inside your head that you use all day, every day. Right now, it's probably speaking your native language. Our goal is to train that inner voice to start speaking English. This, right here, is the secret to making English feel like your brain's default setting.
And this gives you the perfect roadmap for how to start. You don't have to jump into, complex philosophical debates in your head. Start small, just like step 1 says. Just label objects around you. Key, coffee, window. Then move to step 2 and start narrating what you're doing. I'm making coffee. I'm opening the door. Step 3 is a fantastic mental workout, just replaying conversations in English in your head. And finally, step 4 is where you really build that fluency, just by telling yourself stories. All this internal practice is where the real magic happens, with zero pressure.
All right, so we've tackled the mindset and the internal brain habit. Now let's get really practical. Let's talk about some powerful exercises you can use to bring all this out into the real world. This is your active toolkit.
So that internal practice, that's what rewires your brain. But fluency isn't silent, right? The next step is to build that physical connection, to train your tongue, your lips, and your vocal cords so they can actually keep up with your English thoughts.
And one of the best techniques for this is something called shadowing. I love this description, language lip syncing. That's exactly what it is. You're not just listening and then repeating, you're trying to speak at the exact same time as the native speaker. This forces your mouth to keep up and helps you absorb the natural rhythm, the intonation, the whole flow of the language.
This is such a great comparison. Listen and repeat. That's like learning dance steps one by one. It's careful, it's good for getting things right. Shadowing, though, that's like actually dancing to the music. It's all about flow and rhythm and just doing it automatically. You need both for sure, but when it comes to breaking through that fluency barrier, shadowing is your power tool. Now, what about something we all do anyway, like watching TV? How can we make that more active? Well, get this. Researchers found a 17% jump in comprehension after watching just one TV episode with English subtitles. That is a massive gain from one show. It just proves how powerful it is to connect the sound of a word with how it's written, all in real time.
And you can be really strategic about it too. This table is basically your guide. If you're a beginner, yeah, use subtitles in your own language just to get the story. But once you're intermediate, switch to English subtitles. Try to listen more than you read, only looking down when you need to. And for you advanced learners, here's the challenge. Watch without them first. Then go back and use them just to check what you missed. It's like a ladder, and you just climb it one step at a time.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here, from big mindset shifts to brain habits to actual practical tools. So let's wrap this all up by putting all the pieces together into a clear plan you can actually use.
So here it is. This is your roadmap. It all starts with your mindset. You have to give yourself permission to be imperfect. Then you build that internal habit, thinking in English. After that, you train your mouth with active tools like shadowing. And what's the most important part? Consistency. You don't need hours and hours. Seriously. Just 5 focused minutes a day is so much more powerful than cramming for 2 hours once a week.
So let's end on this thought. Fluency isn't some magical finish line you cross one day. It's just what happens when you show up, day after day, and you bravely practice. It's built on a huge pile of corrected mistakes and courageous attempts. So my question to you is this. What is one small, brave step or mistake are you going to make in English today? Go out there and make one. It really is the fastest way to learn.